Hey there friends, quick video. I wanted to point out the hypocrisy of our very own ATF. As we all know, these people can't be trusted and they're some of the most crooked and corrupt people in the United States and nothing ever happens to them. Well, I wanted to point out how the rules don't apply to them that will apply to other people like you and I. Isaac Hernandez, a 25-year-old American citizen who had been living in Mexico, will spend the next 6 years in a federal prison contemplating the error of his ways. On July 11th, 2022, Hernandez was stopped while traveling southbound on I-35 headed toward the Laredo, Texas port of entry. Officials found 17 handguns in his car. Further investigation revealed that from January 21st, 2020 to July 11th, 2022, Hernandez had purchased 231 handguns, 9mm, 380s, and 22s, which officials suspect he smuggled into Mexico. So the ATF, knowing how the game is played obviously, felt like this guy smuggling firearms into Mexico was a bad thing. By the way, this story comes out of the Truth About Guns website. Go check it out. They provide some pretty good news over there. I have a video that's going to be coming out in the next few weeks about a little bit more in-depth exposure to Operation Fast and Furious. You might remember that is the operation where Barack Obama and Eric Holder, who was the acting attorney general back then, smuggled illegally firearms into Mexico under the guise of we are going to track these weapons and we are going to see how they come back through the channels of command through the cartels. And they were hoping that these firearms would make their way, again, this is a part of the story, that they would make their way up the chain of command with these cartels, and then boom, they could pop those cartels. Like that would have ever happened anyway. The top of the brass in the cartels are untouchable anyway. Barack Obama and Eric Holder knew that. However, they had no intention of any of that ever happening. That was the story they used in order to illegally smuggle firearms into Mexico and let them just be dispersed and brought throughout Mexico with the full intent of not tracing them and not following them in any kind of way. None. The ATF whistleblowers have said this, but yet let them come back into the United States as illegal firearms, and then be used on the streets of America, therefore allowing them to get behind more cries for gun control to end gun violence. So this was a plan by them to proliferate firearms into Mexico, who would then proliferate them back into the United States, and none of what they said they were going to do actually took place as far as tracing them. In fact, some of these guns, a 50 cal, wound up in the hands of El Chapo. You might remember that guy. And there was another high-ranking Mexican official that was murdered with a gun, as well as Terry, who was one of our Border Patrol agents down in Mexico, or excuse me, down in Texas, who was murdered with one of those very own guns that Barack Obama and Eric Holder let go into Mexico. Again, why am I bringing this up now? Well, first of all, the hypocrisy of them actually trying to bust somebody for smuggling guns into Mexico kind of makes me chuckle a little bit, but also to preface a story that I do have coming out very, very soon in terms of a more in-depth, detailed look at Operation Fast and Furious. I have people all the time ask me, why do you dislike the ATF so much? Other than the fact that they try to take my Second Amendment rights away on a daily, if not minute-by-minute basis, they do things like this. And they are the cause of corruption and people being murdered indiscriminately because they allow things like this to happen. And they have no real desire to minimize any kind of crime, let alone gun crime, in any kind of way. So they've totally been busted on this throughout the years, and I think they're a useless organization that are definitely about as unconstitutional as you can get.
I'm sorry, I thought this was America.